Hi guys, welcome back to another quick card pull. This is being filmed on Tuesday, August 25th, 2026. Today we're pulling from the Wheel of Year tarot cards. We're starting off with the Magician. Everything that you need is already a part of you. So one thing I posted last night is come into your power, own your healing, own your abilities. You know what I mean? Put your name on that. You know what I mean? Not be boastful and arrogant about it. You know what I mean? But you are that person. You know what I mean? That's why everyone sees you as the Empress, as a nurturer. They can come to you with their problems and they know you're going to solve it, or you'll give them some sound advice, or you will ground them. You know what I mean? That's how you are seen. So embrace that. Again, I love the fact that the Pentacles keep coming out. So Pentacles is, obviously our grounding symbol, but a lot of people see it as an evil symbol and da-da-da. And I'm like, the way that I see it is, if whatever you give power to is what that will symbolize. You know, how a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know how you could believe, in Yahweh Yeshua, the divine creator, Gaia, Mother Earth. But it's just like, okay, but if you don't have that connection, that's fine. But anyone that reads the books knows that you're judged by your heart. But it's just like, if you don't understand, I will try to explain it. If you still don't understand, that's okay. You know what I mean? I'm like, some people have to unfortunately go through things to have that connection. So it's just like, I don't know how to explain it. I will explain it the best of my ability. It's hard to articulate it. The best thing that I've ever learned when I started following the Hebrew faith is one of the hymns is that, they talk about, this is a hymn about how God's unconditional love for his children. And they're like, think about how a parent has unconditional love for their child. And I'm like, whoa, even when they misstep or you're mad or whatever, you always love them. You know what I mean? It's like, you always love them. They're your child. You will go to bat for them. But if it's like, you know what I mean? If you F up, I'm going to help you see the error of your ways. Not as a punishment, but it's like, hopefully you will learn this the first time, not the second, third, fourth time. And that's the thing, me and my girlfriend were kikiing all weekend. And it was like, one thing we talked about is like, before, two times when I was like, a teenager, I would have to learn it the hard way, learn it two times. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that no more. You know what I mean? We're learning the first time only. Definitely embracing that, who you are and your season that you're in. And it's like, that's how you see growth. Like before, I would, you know what I mean? But now it's like, I value my peace. You know what I mean? It's just like, quantity is not important, quality is. I love this 401 energy, especially being built in a tree. So maybe you're building a home, or this is like the house of your dreams because it's up in the sky. So something in that kind of. I love the four because it's definitely a symbolism of like celebrations, because usually in the traditional tarot card you have them victor wearing the wreath, so you have the wreaths around their head, so I love that, but also symbolizing the joyous celebrations of home. I love that. So engagements, marriages, they were mentioning engagements, pregnancies, by God's grace, that comes out. Oh, funny enough, I got a messenger. But you know what I mean? This is like buying a home, selling a home, going on vacation, coming back from vacation. You know what I mean? Very, we were getting a lot of Five of Cups energy, and it's like you're only concentrating on, you know, the what you've lost. You're not concentrating what you still have. You're not concentrating on the things that make you happy. So very much appreciation card they're showing from the energy oracle cards, where it's like she could be concentrating on the thorny bushes around, but she's concentrating on the beauty of the flower that she holds in her hand. You know what I mean? Or the bush itself. It's like it has these beautiful blooms, but there's also thorns all around. But it's like, being careful. 404 just popped up. So just being careful as she, gets the bloom, that she doesn't, prick herself or anything like that. But again, I feel like this is like, I feel like completion, because he's got the wood in his hand and he's like, so happy to see the excitement on her face. It's like, your tree house is done. You know what I mean? So I feel like something completion at the home that brings happiness. So I feel like if you are going through those cycles, it's just like, hey, no worries, this is coming to an end. Very much world card energy. So we keep giving the Seven of Swords, and funny enough, Peacock, she actually plucked its poor tail. But he's being seduced. I'm not going to even tell you what this reminds me of. Anyway, if you watch the news and you follow the trial, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, But you know what I mean? It's, deceit. It's like the grass looks greener on the other side. Funny enough, they were talking about home with the previous card, right? But I feel like here it's just like, don't be easily deceived by things that look easy, or easily deceived by temptation in this case. You know what I mean? If you put that kind of energy into what you currently have, it's like you will see a lot of blooming and everything like that. You know what I mean? But I just definitely feel like, you know, don't be easily wooed. Don't be easily deceived. Getting a lot of fool card, magician card. The magician card was already the start, but it's like you see a lot of people. This is 1979 by Smashing Pumpkins, where they're in the tires and they're going around. That's all I can hear right now. I'm probably gonna play that song. I'm gonna put that Smashing Pumpkins. I'll put 1979 Pumpkins. I'll put Smashing because I'll probably be like, what? What the heck is Pumpkins? But you know what I mean? I love all the butterflies. I don't know if this was a dragonfly or not because I've never seen them that young. But I tried to take a picture of it. Of course, the little bugger took off on me. But you know what I mean? It's just, I love dragonflies. So dragonflies might be a symbol, but I love the fact of the mountain in the background. It's like, having fun. And I feel like that's what they're saying. Concentrate on the fun. Concentrate on the happiness. Because for so long, like with us, this cycle, but it's been getting better and better, which is great. That's the most important part. But I feel like it's like, don't forget to have fun. Like, while you're living life, while you're building life, while you're building the thing. So maybe you're building a business, you're building a brand, you're building something, you're starting something here, and you're putting all your energy into it. It's like, don't forget to have fun. Don't forget to let your hair down, is what they're saying. Maybe you always have your hair up or something, but they're like, don't forget to put your hair down. I feel like it's just like kind of kicked back. You know what I mean? It's just like, better days are coming. Cornucopia is what they're showing. They're showing the month of October. Halloween, they're highlighting. Funny enough, we're saying Smashing Pumpkins. So funny enough, with the Four of Wands, we were talking about connection. We were talking about engagements, marriages. They keep saying engagements. So they're showing the lovers. So I love the two doves with peace. I love very Gaia, Mother Earth energy. So heart chakra. So this could be two people connecting in a way, like, like, again, like they were talking about engagements. But I also feel like this could also be like, soul sister connections, or like connections like soul family tribe, like, you know what I mean? It's just like you're going through your poop, your shit, and it's like, you know what I mean, these cycles in life where it's difficult because we don't have the answers and we just want to fix things. And I feel like that's why they're saying, like, embrace that. But definitely, again, I feel like with the hands binding there, I feel like, this is like, some people will even say this with their children. It feels like they knew them before, because that level they connect on. We're watching things, you say something, and it's like, hey, I was thinking the same thing, or they vice versa. It's because you have that deep connection. You know what I mean? You find those connections in life. You embrace those connections. You nurture those connections. Like, again, like they're saying, 808. So we're getting a lot of 08 numbers. So very Lionsgate portal. So the 27th, which is Thursday, is actually closing the window of, like, because the 13th and the 20th, you were supposed to do the honey ceremonies where washing your hands in honey and cinnamon, so to not allow money to run through your hands, or things, just like opportunities, allowing them to stick. So Thursday will bind that. So if you haven't done those, this is your call to go ahead and, get up, like, like if you have a mixing bowl or something, put it in the sink, put some water in it, get some honey, put in, like, let it absorb in the water, and put a little bit of cinnamon and wash your hands in that, and say anything that you feel will attract, what you're trying to call in here. You know what I mean? And I feel like this is where it's going to seal up on Thursday. Funny enough, okay, so I did check AstroSeek. It is Friday. That will be the full moon, and they're saying partial eclipse. And I am seeing on, like, the weather app that it is showing, like, we will see little smidgens of it. So I guess it's going to be the timing. That's something I would definitely want to keep an eye out in the timeline of when we would see it in our area. So today would be the day you start your moon water, because it's on Friday. Actually, it should have been yesterday, because it's 3 days. Oh no, 3 days before and then 3 days after. So the 25th until the 31st will be your last night for moon water. So if that's something you do, that's something you collect, then that is a call for you to, bring that in. Seven of Pentacles. So remember we said cortical. I love the pregnant belly. So again, very heart chakra energy. And this is where it's just like embracing, the season and corporate. So I feel like, harvesting your fruit. So I feel like a lot of things you put out there into the universe, you're going to start seeing that turnaround. So I feel like they're highlighting a cycle here in the moon. So again, like reconnecting with friends. So I'm very thankful, like, I, even though I don't talk to them daily, like, one that, like, we just recently connected. It's like no time has passed. Like we're just kikiing and laughing and, doing our thing. And it's just like, talking. And then there's a gentleman that I read for, my soul brother. And it's just like, he's like, how's it going? What's going on? And, I'm telling him everything that's going on. And he's like, oh, you know what I mean? I'm sorry to hear that. And he's like, like elaborate, like, because he can help because he goes through the same struggle. And I'm just like, like I even, I don't know what happened to him, but, another gentleman, he was the same way. And he's like, he's like, I could talk to him if he wants to. You know what I mean? He was open to communicating with him. And I asked him and he was just like, no. I mean, I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? But like, how nice is that? The people that I've come through like this journey that are, being so sweet and kind. It's like, I've gone through that shit too. And sometimes like talking to someone that's gone through it can shed some light, a new perspective. Because I'm his mom, you know what I mean? It's just like you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, that's mom. Mom will just say that because she loves me. And it's like, no, actually, I do like you as an individual as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you were my niece, my God, he killed me. My nephews, like, both of them, if they were my nephews, it's like, yeah, I would definitely want to hang out with you guys because you're a lot of fun. You know what I mean? It gets like, I'm just thankful for that. But I feel like they're highlighting, because we are in the full moon on Friday, they're highlighting the cycle to the waning crescent to the crescent moon. You know what I mean? So this is like they were showing that in a lot of personal readings, that there's this cycle that's going to happen, that from the full moon all the way to like the crescent all the way to the waning crescent. So this is September, and we've talked about this, the 25th, the 25th, maybe the 25th, the 20, the 12th. I keep on saying 20, the 12th until like the 17th. There's something there. You know what I mean? But I definitely feel like victory in their wreath again. You know what I mean? And calling back in your tribe and everything. I definitely love this energy. So funny enough, we're talking about this, like, Eight of Swords. It's like things that keep you up at night, but I feel like it's like, you know what I mean? Those things are lifting away. They are showing the winter here, but I feel like more of isolation. You know what I mean? Of anything, because it's like, you know, you sometimes when you go through things in life, it's like it does feel isolating because there are stigmas and stuff like that with certain situations. But I feel like this is just spirit, again, just saying, don't let that define everything. Just keep moving forward, do the best you can, but also highlighting again as a nurturer. This could be you, like where you're going through something and they're highlighting the nurturer in your family, where it's just like, um, embrace that. You know what I mean? Embrace the fact that you have that person in your family, because some of us don't, you know what I mean? And it's nice to have that support. So this could be also, I just feel like solidifying your tribe again. You know what I mean? Some people will come in and you're like, me. And then other people, it's just like, yeah, that's that's my person. You know what I mean? That's my tribe. Like, time will go past and it's just like, hey, girl, what's going on? Or, hey, guy, what's going on? And it's just like, shoot the shit for hours. Like, I know one person, if I talk to him, I know we were talking for like 3-4 hours and we could have kept going. And he's like, damn, it's been 3 hours. I'm like, oh my God. You know what I mean? But it's just like some people, it's just so easy to talk to and flow. And you can talk about, like my girl this weekend, it's like you can talk about everything and anything, faith, religion, family, past, like, when past readings we had with each other, or like we would sit there, do video chats and stuff like that and talk for hours. And you know what I mean? It's just like, just all these different, connections that you have. Very thankful and blessed, you know what I mean? Because I did not foresee that when obviously my whole world, changed with Shane's, transformation. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I am very thankful. I've always been that person that's been, you know what I mean, outgoing and likes to be, laugh and have a good time with my friends and make sure everyone's very Libra energy. You know what I mean? But it's like at the same time, it's like, same way, but it's like, my girl was just like, oh my God, if we lived in the same area, we'd be like freaking hanging out every weekend. I'm like, yeah, we would be playing board games, watching movies. We probably fall asleep because we work so much, but it's just like very thankful for connections. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's like thankful, like even when you go through life's difficulties and cycles, that you have connections that you can rely on and count on, and you can just kiki and talk about everything and anything. That is a true connection. Again, being thankful for, sometimes we, like, we, me and her work our butts off. We're both single moms, we work our butts off. We're, you know what I mean? And it's just like, when it's our downtime, it's our downtime. It's like, I don't want to hear about drama. I don't want to mess around with no messiness. I just want someone I can kiki with, we can laugh and have a good time. Like, besides that, no. So even with the messiness, I feel like, or the heaviness is a better word, because I do definitely so they're showing the Four of Swords, rest and rejuvenation. This one is usually like, I think it's a groundhog that's in here. So even with like the Seven of Swords, they're saying there's some deceit here, and they're showing like, things keeping you up at night, or things that are pulling on your energies. You know what I mean? They are showing like Ten of Pentacles. So this is an absolute yes. This is one of the most potent cards you will get in the minor arcana. So all of your wands, swords, pentacles, and what am I missing? Wands? I don't know. But this is what they're saying. Again, I definitely feel that connection again with the lovers is what I feel. That definitely feels like a ceremony. Well, they're cheersing. She's pouring very Shabbat energy. Very cornucopia. Not only do they have bottles of wine, they also have a barrel of wine. And I feel like it's like, again, like that cornucopia feeling. You see the grapes around, so like harvest season again. We were talking about that with the Seven of Pentacles. So this is something that Spirit keeps on bringing up with us. You know what I mean? A lot of green, heart chakra, so things that matter to your heart. All the pentacles have grapes on that, I just noticed. So that's what I'm saying. It's just like, maybe right now you're going through a cycle where you cannot see, or they're saying the word lack, but that's not going to last forever. You know what I mean? Like, like that person, it was a gentleman. He posted, God did not carry this, or whomever you believe in, Yahweh, Yeshua, Divine Creator, Gaia, Mother Earth. They did not carry you this far only to carry you this far. There is more to this story. There is more to your journey. So sometimes we cannot see it. They try to give us channel messages through the birds of the air, or like your For You page, or friends, or songs, or you know what I mean? Like they were saying, don't forget to have fun. So, and like, so with us, like, we're coming into the high holidays, some of the most potent high holidays. So we have Rosh Hashanah, the opening to Yom Kippur. So we have a lot of great things coming in. And I feel like that's where Spirit is saying, like, embrace, you know what I mean? There's a lot to look forward to. Like they said, don't forget to put your hair down. Don't forget to enjoy life. So that's where I'm saying, embrace this time, embrace the energy. Things are turning around. And I feel like that's why they're saying with the Fool card. Like, I definitely, that's so crazy that this is coming up. During my vacation, they had brought up something, and and I'm like, well, I'm kind of like apprehensive of it, on the fence about it, and they're just like, nope, put it up, and I did. And it's just, this is what kicked off everything. That's usually what happens with, I don't know why. But that's why I'm saying, like, embrace the celebrations, embrace the, the joyous, not, everything may not be perfect in life. You know what I mean? If you're waiting for that to happen, you're not going to enjoy your life. There's always, unfortunately, going to be something. But you know what? Even when the something's going on, let's embrace the happy times. I love the walnut energy, because it's like this hard shell and it's hard to crack. So maybe that's what, like, someone is so stubborn, they're a hard nut to crack, as they say. But I love the fun. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what they're saying. Find the yin and yang in life. Find the balance in life. You know what I mean? It's just like, I ebb and flow as things exit, new things come in. So I feel like something else has happened. I've been feeling this for a while, and I'm like, meh. I feel like it's like coming to that finality of that, and I'm like, eh. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna beg, and I'm not gonna plead or anything like that. If you're waiting for that to happen, then, you're sadly mistaken, because that ain't gonna happen. But, you know what I mean? This is what I'm saying. Just find the balance in your life and find things to be happy about. You know what I mean? I'm definitely, like, with myself watching, like, my dumpster diving channel. Not mine, but, a channel I watch. Breakfast Club. I always forget their name. But Kelly and Adam. Watching Morgan Adams, watching Ryland, watching The Sip. You know what I mean? It's watching my favorite blogs. But this weekend definitely was, spending some quality time with my girlfriend and kikiing and hearing about her trip and everything like that. So, you know what I mean? That's what it's like. I didn't expect that. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I'm just very thankful for that. I'm thankful for her friendship. I'm thankful for the connection, because again, when you find connections like that, especially when you're getting older in life, it's like, you know, it's harder to keep connections because people are doing things and stuff like that. But as your kids are getting, you know, older, both of our kids are getting older, it's just like, you know, life is opening up more because, like, you know, the kids aren't like, you know, not like when they're babies, you have to change diapers and feed them and, you know, play with them and make sure they're taking their naps, and then you're washing bottles and laundry and, you know, running around rabbit, you know what I mean? So this is where it's just like embrace those connections, especially as you're getting older, because, you know, those connections do bring a lot of grounding energies, and they bring a lot of, you know, peace. That is definitely feeding your soul. You know what I mean? When you have that soul connection with people. So remember to embrace those. Remember to be happy. And remember to celebrate. You know, they're saying like playing board games. Even watch, if I don't know how much we're going to see. We'll see what happens. But you know what I mean? See if you can catch the eclipse this Friday, depending where you are. Check your, you know, your uh, outlets and stuff like that. So weather app is actually showing it if you're in Canada. And you can see what time it'll be in your zone and what time you should be, you know, because we're going to see partial of it. You know, very minimal, but it's still going to be cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed this quick card pull. May the universe bless you good. Please bring in things that bring happiness into your life.